Oh, I'm so excited.
Look right here in the room together.
Together. And all of Twitter with our guest coming to join us.
We don't mean that literally. We are not on Twitter, and there is nothing on Twitter about us.
A
I hope.
Twitter, it's different.
Oh,
It's
okay.
different. Yeah.
You were
And
using the
and like
old English.
and just very excited because you just informed me that that because our special guest Joe Urla is joining us, we're up from yesterday's 180 uh Instagram followers to now we have 9,000.
No, I misread that. I thought we thought we had 9,000 followers today,
Oh,
but we didn't make that jump. That didn't happen.
it'll happen after tonight's show.
We did get some new followers recently. That's nice. So we do have an Instagram account that we're very proud of. I think it's an entertaining addition to our show.
Yeah.
If you watch the
Well,
show,
you do the great graphics for it.
well, I do the graphics. I think if they're great, that's not for me to say, but thank you,
It's for me to say. You didn't say it. I said it. I said
thank
they're
you,
great.
thank you.
I think they're
Um,
spectacular.
and I have fun doing that. Um, we got a great show tonight. This
We
is
have a great
great.
show tonight, but before we get to that, how are you?
Oh, I'm terrible. I'm awful.
You look
I've
like
been
it's
on a.
3 degrees in your apartment.
It's freezing
right
in here. I'm cold. We're on this health kick, so I'm not really eating sugar, or like the kind of sugar that I find adequate, or that I would describe as eating sugar.
now. I don't think I want to talk to you. I don't know if I want to know you.
And I'm challenged. I like things about it, but right now I'm like having a freak out about wanting like chocolate cake, just something stupid like that.
So I shouldn't tell you about the great chocolate brownies that I have that my friend Kathy baked and sent to me
Well, I think
with dark chocolate chips in them.
no, God, don't say a word about that.
Okay. Well, but I could tell you about the roasted butternut, curry roasted butternut squash soup that I made
Yeah,
yesterday.
you could tell me about that.
Yeah.
When you start telling me about that, what did you put in there? Some rosemary?
No, just roasted butternut squash. I roasted a butternut squash and an onion, and then put it into the blender with chicken stock.
What are you
And
doing with your hands right now?
I'm showing you the
Oh, that's an
blender.
inversion blender. I'm sorry. That's a submersion.
No, it wasn't it's the Ninja. I put it in the Ninja, in the big thing, in the Ninja. I put it
Oh,
in the
it
big.
looked like you were poking something into a. It looked like you were using a mortar and pestle.
Yeah.
Looked like you were spatchcocking a chicken. I don't know what happened.
That is not that is not how I made the soup. Anyway, curry powder, a little butter, a little bit of garlic, and then finished it with a little bit of heavy cream to give it some nice
Wow.
body. Yeah, and it's quite good. I have a lot of leftovers, so I'll be enjoying it for a couple of days.
If it was that, how if it's that good, how much leftovers really would there be?
Well, it was just me alone, and it was a big
Oh,
lot of
okay.
more soup than I could eat by myself at one sitting.
You didn't get uncomfortably stuffed. You just
No.
you stopped at the point where it was like, I'm full. I've had enough.
I had a nice salad, a nice piece of bread that I dipped into my soup.
It's interesting you say this. A nice salad. It's really all anybody ever much says about salad. It's a nice salad.
It was a nice salad. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Nobody
had a
said,
nice
"Oh,
salad.
a nice salad. That's all you had. And you, so you're eating, vegan stuff you don't want to talk about.
I'm not eating vegan stuff. I'm just literally like I'm not eating a lot of sugar. We were bad over the lockdown, and I ate many things I should not have eaten many
You were bad
times.
over the lockdown. You say
Well,
that like it's over, and now you're out and running around.
comparatively to lockdown one, I'm
Yeah.
running around. Like I'm
Okay.
talking about the first year where it was just like basically don't leave the house, cover yourself in olive oil, do it, all these weird things you're supposed to do. And I just developed a real, that was my crutch was eating a ton of sweets, and
Yeah.
ice cream and stuff. And I don't really drink much anymore. Like it's not the thing. I miss it. I wish I did because I liked it, but I just get headaches.
What are you gonna do when my booze comes out?
I'm gonna deal with it.
You're
I'm gonna
gonna have,
suck it up.
you're gonna have to suck it up and drink
Yeah.
some of them our booze.
Well, I've already made that exception.
Okay.
I've had, I can have a drink or two. It's just like not like the old days.
Okay.
Anyway,
Not
this
like
is
the old-
boring. Who cares about my health kick?
Okay. All right. What are you watching then? You're
Ooh.
watching anything? What'd you see this week? I mean, aside from the movie that we're gonna talk about,
Well, let me see. Let me consult my journal.
your Bujo.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. I'm not going to show you my Bujo journal, but I'm looking at it right now. We watched a lot of weird stuff this year so far, and I already told you about some of the stuff that I've seen. But we did see, did I tell you about we did, like, here's a comfort zone thing. Like, there was a lot of ice cream and cake. Sometimes what we call here at the house cake bowl, which would just be like,
Cake bowl.
cake and maybe some other stuff.
In a movie.
Cake bowl and a movie, yeah.
Yeah.
But we saw one of my guilty pleasures is watching like 80s and 90s TV movies, which they
Okay.
stream on some services, and we watched a movie called Mother May I Sleep with Danger with Tori Spelling
Oh my God, I want to see that.
that I keep thinking about. I keep referencing it. It's pretty great.
Mother, may I sleep with danger? We might have
Yeah.
to do that on the show.
It's
We might
available.
we might have to have a TV movie month on the show.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
There's a lot of weird stuff there. A lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's the modern equivalent of like watching, cable access back in like
Right.
1989.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But some cool people did that. So,
Okay.
what are you doing? How are you? Enough about me.
Oh, this week has just been we have to meet with our liquor license lawyers on Friday. This week has been full blown getting documents together. Just running every morning. I wake up and I have a plan of the things I'm going to do for the day, and it gets shot to hell with dealing with legal matters and ordering. Who knew that ordering corks for your bottles and tamper evident shrink capsule ways to you don't want to hear about it. It's just been crazy time getting
Ah,
this stuff launched, but we are making tremendous headway. So, but that's I work until I can't stare at the computer screen and look at numbers anymore, and then I sit down and I watch an episode of Vera, the British detective show with the incredible Brenda Blethyn, which is just
she is great.
she is great. And this show is, it's funny. Dad's often talked about one of the things that he doesn't like about TV series, and I think he might be talking mostly about like those older American TV shows. He says, the characters don't change. They don't change. They don't grow. They don't develop. And a lot of times that's true, particularly in older shows. Like the Rockford Files. Jim Rockford was Jim Rockford. There wasn't this ongoing development of the character. But that's changed in recent years with some shows where characters go through changes. But on this show, Brenda Blethyn and this character Vera, her progression and evolution throughout the seasons is, you come to really care about her and her struggles and her growth. And she's got this partner, a younger sergeant who's her partner, who at first you feel like he's putting up with her, and then you see no, they're really close, and he chips away at her. He chips away at her and gets her to open up and come to life in a really beautiful way. It's really worth watching.
What's it called again?
Vera, Vera. It's her name.
Okay.
And
So what if I do see it? What then?
if you see it, I think you might enjoy it,
All right.
because she does amazing work on it.
She's fantastic. So maybe I will check that out. I will
And one
put that
thing that's
on
been
the.
fun is I've been for the past year I've been so getting into the British shows that now they're starting to be like American shows where you're like, oh, I've seen that guy before. Oh,
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah,
her before. I'm starting to get to know the people who are that guy
mm-hmm.
or that gal in England the way we get to know them in America.
Right.
And it's really fun saying, oh, I saw him on Silent Witness, or I saw her on Line of Duty.
It is really fun. Have you
Yeah.
seen? I know I mentioned this. I think probably last week, but did you see Bloods yet? That's another. It's a British comedy that a half hour
No, I
comedy.
haven't. I don't like to laugh.
Um. Then okay. Then we should move on.
I like to drink and get dark.
Then may I recommend Being the Ricardos?
No, please don't. Please. I have heard that that's 17 hours of your life that you're never going
You're
to
not gonna get
back.
back at no.
Yeah. Wow. There you go.
Um,
And I just ended my career. So there you have it. Well, I guess we should, we've got a guest in the wings, so we should start talking about this movie so that we can get to him at some point.
I think he's gonna have things to say. I think he's probably, champing at the bit to probably get on here and start talking about all the things we've been talking about.
God, I love you. I love you so much.
Thank you, man. I
You
love you
said
too.
you said champing at the bit, and that just makes my heart go. I mean, you have no idea what that means to me that you would say champing.
Well, I'm
Instead
curious
of what-
why, because I said it on purpose, actually, as a nod to my friend Jacob.
Yeah. Well, you know what so many and perhaps maybe most people say these days is they say chomping at the bit, which is like driving an ice pick through my ear to hear somebody say chomping. I heard somebody say chomping at the bit on NPR, and I wanted to take back all of my donations because they said that.
I don't actually know which is correct, so I don't know.
Champing.
Is champing is
correct.
the right one?
Champing
I took
is
a
correct.
wild stab in the dark.
Because chomping means like to, bite down hard on something, to
Mhm.
chomp on it. Champing is that thing that the horses do when they're
biting
moving their
down.
mouth, when they're like trying to get the bit out of their mouth.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's a different motion. It's a different thing.
Okay. Well, thank you. I had to make apologies on the podcast the other podcast I do yesterday because I messed stuff up and I said things that were wrong. And people told me that I was wrong and I had to make an apology.
Yeah. You
corrections.
just scored 18,000 on the SATs because
Okay.
you said champing.
Accidental.
Well, it doesn't matter. You get credit for it in my book.
It's a line from that short film that I did with my friends in Steel Drum, Jacob and Trish. Jacob A. Ware, Trish Harnitzow. And he says something about a bit. And it's champing or chomping, and I don't know. I thought it was going to be funnier than this.
Well, you did great.
Thank you.
So tonight's movie, Deep Impact, 1998. What was your relationship to this movie?
My relationship to this movie was interesting because I believe I was already friendly with Joe, our guest, when I saw it. If I didn't see it with him, then I was around during that part of his life. So I know kind of about it, a little bit about it. I saw it in the theater, and I haven't seen it since. I've seen scenes from it in, disaster movie compilations and stuff like that.
Okay.
How about you?
No relationship.
None.
I didn't see it.
You kind of sound like you're denying it's like you did see it.
No, I didn't see it, and
You're protesting too much. You're like, I did not see it.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it when it came out. I didn't really know much about it. it's like, oh yeah, it's one of those disaster movies. That's all. It wasn't on my radar.
I'm surprised that you didn't go to disaster movies, that they weren't a thing that you were like, hey, let's go do that.
No, you know me. I'm all maudlin romance and detectives.
There's all of that in these
Rom-com.
movies, though. There's everything in these movies. There's rom-coms, there's maudlin romance, there's high tech espionage. All of those things are in these movies.
Some of them.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot of that in this movie.
No, I didn't say a lot. I said it is in there.
Oh, okay.
In some form or capacity.
In some form or capacity. Okay.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I appreciated the movie more this time than I did the first time I saw it.
I would have to say the same because I had no relation to it
Right.
before, and now I do.
Right. So, yeah, you could say anything like that, but only I can say of the two of us, I think I liked it better this time.
What do you have any awareness of what the reception was for this movie when it came out?
I really don't. I mean, I just assumed it was kind of a medium-sized hit. I know it didn't. I don't think it took over the universe.
I'll bet somebody can tell us. I'll bet somebody we know
somebody has the stats, I'm sure.
might be able to tell us a little bit about how this movie was received.
Well, I'm anxious to hear what he says. I think he's going to be able to tell us exactly how much money it made. I don't do that kind of research, Matthew. I do a deeper, more bizarre dive into things than to just know how much money they made. Anybody can look that up.
Ooh, okay. That just made me feel this big.
No,
and,
you do your own weird thing.
No, I haven't done that yet. I just, this show is developing, and we've been trying to come up with weekly things that we should cover. And I'm wondering if one of the things we might want to cover is what the reception was when it came out versus what the feeling is now. Because there's some movies that when they come out are reviled or not very popular and then age really well.
Well, I hear you, and I think that's a good idea, and we do that sometimes because sometimes we just know the answer to that, but we should research it so we'll be more knowledgeable. No, what you're saying is you want to give more to the people who are watching this show, and I'm 100% behind that idea. We should do more. It's the new year, and there are new responsibilities.
We are here to serve you better.
I don't want Joe to get. He is champing at the bit to get on here. I know.
Well, let's bring him on.
Let's bring him on so he can help unpack this.
Tony's very, very good friend and my acquaintance. No, just only because we haven't spent as much time together. Joe Urla.
He's a heartwarming man, isn't he? It's just it warms the.
I didn't mean that I don't like you. I just mean that I haven't spent the time with you.
I just mean that in the first second of the show, Matthew has to explain that he didn't mean that he doesn't like you.
Yeah, I was
That's all I'm saying.
Slapping on my bed over here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Now, I feel like right off the bat, I just want to say Deep Impact actually got fairly decent reviews.
Okay.
However, it still got its butt kicked in the box office by Armageddon, which was a similar movie that came out at the same time.
I do kind of remember that there were rival asteroid comet movies, and
it was sort of like ER versus Chicago Hope.
There's so much to unpack or unimpact about this, but we could get started with that whole.
Well, let's get started with how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy and freezing cold.
Where are we? Where are you? I mean, if you wanted to get down to business and just be businesslike about it, we can. But I'd rather just kind of ease into this. Say, where are we talking to you from, or where are you right now?
Just outside of New York.
Could you give us an address, a specific address? Just a street corner would be fine.
I'm somewhere north of you.
What county? Just give us a county.
I'm in Lower Westchester.
We just have
Westchester. So
we just
you're
have to keep them on the line for 20 seconds, Matthew. That's all we have to do. They'll get a trace.
Have they got him? Have they got him?
And there's nothing I like more than reviewing my work from when I was very young and handsome. It's really.
Were you younger in this? This was.
I was amazing. I think Tony will attest. I was quite a looker at the. I was astonished.
Who is? I got notes on that. Just on that.
Well, but it was it was 1998 or 1997 when we shot it. So
yeah,
it was quite a while ago.
A quarter of a century younger you were then. Yeah.
Do you did we? I mean, this is. Did we see it together when it came out? Is there any way that may have happened?
I don't know. It's theoretically possible, Tony.
I mean, you went to probably the premiere. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that was some kind of event. There was something happening way back when. It was right before I left Los Angeles to come back to New York City. In a huge mistake, but whatever.
I think that you and I think we went to see it here in the city together, and you went again, and we went together. That's my memory of it.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's probably right. It was.
So neither time will I be able to be completely honest that we discuss it.
Look, it's like you. I remember when I first saw it, I was slightly horrified, but my affection for disaster movies has increased over the years. I actually now I really love them. I even love the really preposterous ones. I love earthquake films where the family races back to get the dog, to risk life and limb to get the family dog, into the car. I love that stuff. It's
well, we're doing a month of disaster movies here on the show, and we did Poseidon Adventure last week. You must be a fan of that movie.
What a movie! What a movie! But I want to talk about Deep Impact. We have nowhere near enough time to talk about everything that's going on. At Deep Impact, there's so much to tell about this movie. There was so much controversy during the shoot. There's so much.
Well, what is the controversy? I mean, what possible controversy?
But the real. Okay, you want to get into it? You want to talk about that?
We should.
Okay, first of all, let me just say, I played Ira Muscatel, the business reporter for MSNBC. That was my part. I worked
the Jew.
Apparently, I was. I played Jews and Cubans. It was So and Ira. So I was in the office with Téa Leoni, the lead, and so there were lots of reaction shots. I was there to basically be someone the audience could connect to while receiving the information that that life on Earth is going to end. And so they would cut to my face, and I would look all emotional, and they did it like 4, 5, 6 times, and then that's the end of the movie. Although the real story of Deep Impact is related to Armageddon, because the script for Deep Impact, while we were shooting, underwent so many changes. They ran out of colors. You know what I mean? The script changes were coming. They ran out of colors. They had to recycle. They went through. It was astonishing.
So you got to Goldenrod 2.
We got to Goldenrod 2.
Goldenrod 2.
It was.
For people who don't know what that is, can you explain what that means, Joe? Because not everybody might know.
There's the white pages, then there's the blue pages, then there's the green pages, then there's the canary pages.
I understand.
Okay. When there was a rewrite, the new pages would be a different color, so that the actors and the crew and everybody would understand. We're doing the blue pages today. Well, because Armageddon was being rapidly written across town and was just beginning its production at the same time as we were shooting, there was a lot of scuttlebutt. I mean, it's all anybody talked about in the makeup chair, in the trailers, on the set, in between shots. We were just it was obsessive, this talk about what was in that script and what was in our script. because the changes were coming on a daily basis. To try to stay ahead of them and to try to not repeat. And as it turned out, if you saw both movies, you'd see that Armageddon basically stole huge things from Deep Impact. In fact, the lead writer for Deep Impact, what's his name, was Bruce Rubin. In fact, believes that it was actual theft. He was having lunch and he was talking about this script that he was developing for DreamWorks and Paramount. And there was a Disney person there, and he believes that Disney person took notes and immediately sold the idea to Disney because it's kind of shocking. They have very, very, very similar approaches to taking out the comet, and both of them are equally stupid in the same way, you know. So it's kind of.
I don't know. I think that there are energies in the universe and patterns of psychic. Joseph Campbellian. The cosmic subconscious that these things happen.
Yeah, they could just happen. 2 comet movies and 2 months.
I'm sorry, I don't know what I was talking about just then.
That was Professor Zeitgeist.
It was a big deal. There were big things that happened related to script changes.
So when you're talking about the controversy, you're talking about the rivalry with Armageddon, which was this other giant movie that was getting produced.
Yeah, it's just there was a palpable sense of urgency to get the film in the can, to beat them to the theaters. There was a real worry on the set that the film that opened first was going to take all the box office, and then the second movie would crash. And as it turned out, that wasn't the case, because we opened 2 months before they did, and Deep Impact was like a $350 million movie, which is huge. On a budget of $80 million, they made $350. And Armageddon had Disney, so it had a budget of like $140 million, and got terrible reviews. Opened 2 months after us, but it had Bruce Willis. And Bruce Willis.
It's a very handsome man.
So it made $550+ million. It was a huge,
yeah, but he's not as handsome as the young Joe Urla. I'm sorry, he's not.
But he killed me.
So how did this translate down to you? This pressure on the set? Act faster? Were they? Did you have to?
Well, the way it translated to me gets back to look, I wasn't the lead in the movie, but my character Ira Moskowitz had a lot of really fun stuff going on, he had a key moment. Really, these disaster movies. Deep Impact is really not actually about a comet destroying the Earth. It doesn't. The comet doesn't end up destroying the Earth. The Earth gets hit by a portion of the comet, which then leads to a massive tidal wave, and a lot of people die. But what the movie really is about, and how it is different from Armageddon, is that it's really about who's going to live and why. And if in the face of an extinction level event, choices have to be made. And some people make it on the helicopter to safety, and some people don't. The movie's about the separation of children from their families over and over and over again. This is why I think Tony referring to it as an extinction level soap opera. I don't know what you said.
I call it an extinction level melodrama.
It's unbelievable how many babies are separated from their mother or their father in this movie. It just pummels you in the heart, or tries to over and over.
With that pitch, I can't believe you guys made the money that you did, to be honest.
No, but that's what I want to. You just said something that I want to zero in on. You said it pummels you in the heart, or it tries to.
Yeah, it tries to, because sometimes they're more successful than others. I don't think that the blind astronaut saying goodbye to the baby he never knew is all that effective. It's just a little too much. The fact that he's blind. However,
That's the scene that I did get a tear in my eye. Not that moment, but that whole lineup of them saying goodbye. I did get a tear in my eye. Yeah. But there are missed opportunities galore in this movie.
Probably.
We do not get the helicopter on the roof of the embassy in Saigon shot in this movie. You know?
Well, you do get when the baby, when Téa Leoni, at one point, Téa Leoni grabs a baby out of the arms of the character that Laura Innes played. I can't remember the character's name, but she grabs the baby and she runs to the helicopter, and we think, oh my God, she's stealing this woman's baby, and then only to then sacrifice herself.
Yeah, but that's not the reaction. Yeah, but that's not the reaction.
That is the Saigon moment, you know.
But that's not no, because that's not the reaction I had when she takes the baby. Because Laura Innes's reaction to it is, "You're saving my baby." There was no people hanging, you know. It was heart wrenching, and then there's the twist of her giving up her seat.
Yeah.
But it's not, oh, I'm doing anything I can to survive. That moment was, I'm going to survive, and I'll let your baby survive with me.
It goes for it was a repetitive choice in that moment, and then also when the parents. I want to give a shout out to actors whose names I had forgotten.
Denise Crosby.
Gary Wentz.
Oh yeah, man! It was so great to see him.
Dude is awesome, and I believe that family, Lily Sobieski, the young girlfriend of Frodo Lily Sobieski is the girlfriend of Elijah Woods before he became Frodo. This movie launched him, and he's their boyfriend and girlfriend. They get married. And then he goes through probably the most implausible trip ever taken by a 13 or 14-year-old kid. He leaves his family, right? Again, a child leaving their family at the safe place at the Ark.
I did that. And
then he hitches a ride with Mexican farm workers on a truck.
Did it.
And then he must have stolen a bicycle and rides a bicycle and then gets to his home and unlocks a road bike, which is completely full of gas, amazingly, because, you know, everybody leaves their bike full of gas. And he rides this motorcycle through the endless sea of cars and vans and completely impossibly finds Lily and her family in that sea of cars.
It is not the most believable
and then,
you just described the summer when I was 13 years old. So
Gary Wentz and his wife, they force Lily to get on the back of the bike and strap a baby to her chest and say goodbye to her. And I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen a disaster movie with a moment that effective. I think it's because Gary is so there emotionally. It's heart-wrenching. It's amazing. He does a great job. The mother does a great job. Lily does a great job. Elijah Woods does a great job with that moment. I mean, these are really seriously successful scenes. That's a really successful scene.
For me, there's it's always interesting when there's always an actor that'll show up and you kind of gauge the temperature on the set and the room and maybe how seriously this was taken by their work a little bit, you know. And Duvall was that person for me in this. Not that he phones it in or is known to phone it in, but I mean he was kind of notably on point, I felt like, in this movie. I don't know if you felt that way, but I thought he was working in a really different mode. Like he had a real sensitive quality to him, which you don't see in a lot of his performances. Like he was very kind of Kind of seemed like an open-hearted guy, and
Yeah, he seems really available.
not a tough guy, really, not a rough guy like he usually plays,
Yeah.
And to see him show up and really take seriously that character and those interactions with Ron Eldard.
Yeah.
I don't know if you didn't obviously work with Duvall in this movie because he's in outer space and you're on Earth, but I wonder if you feel like him signing on. I guess Morgan Freeman would have had that impact at that time too, of like the seriousness of it. It's like, oh wow, this is a real movie. This isn't a hack job here. This is like we're aiming at something that's trying to be, not important's the wrong word, because it isn't the one thing. It's a lot of things, this movie, but it isn't full of itself. It's not trying to teach you lessons or overly moralize at you, or you know what I mean? It seems to be pretty honest, or attempting to be, for a big movie like this. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, Mimi Leader, who directed it, her biggest experience had been directing ER. She was a television director.
Yeah, also Hill Street Blues and stuff. She goes way back. Yeah.
So she's a really wonderful human being. I mean, she's probably the nicest human being that I met in Hollywood.
Really? I mean, oh, wow.
She's a gem of a person, and I had an experience with her on my last day on the set that stays with me forever. She was so kind to me, and I think that she put her point of view, or her person, came through in the way those scenes were directed.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that Deep Impact was decided at some point during the shoot, they went, we're going for the heartstrings. We're not going to have a hero movie. We're going to go for the heartstrings. That's going to be our movie, right? We're going to have a heartstring pulling movie. That's what we're going to do. And so that theme began to be the dominant theme in the script as it developed.
Well, I think she's a spectacular director. I think she's an amazing director, and I can see what her work in this movie. But I think she was really underserved by the script.
Wow. It changed so much. I mean, oh my God! Can I please tell that story? So you have no idea what happened in that movie. It's beyond. Tony, I may have told you this. So
no, we don't bring our guests on to tell inside stories. We don't want to hear.
We don't want to hear any scoops.
No. Oh God.
Yeah. No, of course we want to hear this story. Tell the story.
We had my character. Like I said, my character had in the movie. There was a big scene where we had to pick straws, because the helicopter that was going to take us, the workers at MSNBC, awake, there wasn't enough room on the helicopter. So
you're coming to one of my two favorite moments in the entire movie.
So we had to go around and pick straws. And I pick the wrong straw, whatever, too long or too short, whatever. And I say, well, that makes sense. And I throw the straw and go away. And that wasn't my last scene in the original script. And it wasn't my last scene all the way until my very last day on the set. The script had in it a scene where Ira Muscatel, after realizing he's going to die, goes up into the children's playroom that is there at MSNBC's offices for the children of workers, to have theirs and take care of their kids. And he goes in there and he plays with a child that he doesn't know. He's on the floor playing with a child that he doesn't know. And there was some line about, I never found the time to have a family. And I'm there with the kids playing when the wave comes in and kills us all, right?
So you shot that?
No, didn't shoot that. Everything kept getting delayed because of rewrites. And I thought I was going to be doing this scene, but it wasn't on the schedule yet. And I had, in fact, booked another job that began 2 days after my schedule was to be finished, which was finished shooting. And the delays pushed that picking of the straws scene back and back, and finally, we hadn't shot the picking straws scene, and I had a 10 p.m. flight, and I came to the set with my suitcase packed to fly across country, and at 8 p.m. we still hadn't picked the straws. I hadn't picked my straw, and I had to take a 10 p.m. flight. I finally picked my straw in 3 consecutive takes at 8:30. And I had asked them to have a van waiting, right? Because I got to catch a 10 o'clock flight, the last flight out.
Why do you have to get out of there so fast? You have another job?
Rehearsals began the next morning.
Okay.
And so
He was doing something at the Paper Mill Playhouse, okay, Tony?
Worse. No,
they are tough.
At the National Playwrights Conference, even less money. So all day long, I was trying to get confirmation from anybody, from Mimi Leader, from anybody, whether that scene in the children's playroom was still in the movie, and nobody could tell me. Mimi was like, I just don't know. I don't know, Joe. You see what's happening. We get new pages every day. And I said, okay, once it's on the schedule, I'll fly back immediately and we'll shoot it, right? But it's not on the schedule for tomorrow, right? So it's not on the schedule for tomorrow. And finally, we get to this. We finally pick the straw at 8:30. They check the gate. It's clean. Mimi comes up to me and she puts her hands on my cheeks. And she says, Joe, we're not going to shoot the kids' playrooms. Oh. That was your last shot. You were wonderful. Go catch a flight. It was like everyone, Joe Urla is wrapped. I left the
right.
Scene. Everybody's clapping as I ran to the van.
Yeah. You didn't get to say goodbye to anybody. You didn't get taken out for drinks. You didn't get to do any of that stuff.
And our viewers under a certain age won't know what checking the gate means, but what are you gonna do?
Hey, I'd like to just say it's on all of us, but the people watching have no idea the plot of this movie or really any of the setup whatsoever. We kind of launched into our personal feelings and stuff without even setting the table. So I think we need to go backwards a little bit and have Joe, if you'd like, tell us, give us a pitch for what the movie is.
As possible. A young kid in an astronomy club sees something in the sky, and they determine that it's a comet, and they determine that the path of the comet is going to hit the Earth. Because of whatever, the guy who was supposed to deliver that information dies in a car crash, and the delivery of the information is delayed by a year. So there's much less time now. The president and the president of the United States, once this information has been delivered to him, the president of the United States by NASA, presumably whoever, the president of the United States, in the most amazing part of the movie, collaborates with the arch enemy of the United States, Russia, who build the biggest space station in history and the biggest spacecraft in history. They collaborate to do this in an attempt to land on the comet, which is scientifically impossible because comets travel at up to 100,000 miles an hour, and drill into the comet and insert these nuclear bombs to blow the comet up in the sky. And it fails. And that's where,
it
Robert
fails,
Duvall,
or does it?
Well, it fails halfway. And then they at the last minute, there's
well, we don't need to we don't want to spoil everything. So no, but I mean, that's the setup. It's a comet, it's going to hit the Earth.
Right.
And then it's a bit of a soap opera I mean that in a positive way, a melodrama about a lot of different people that are affected by this, and a network of news people and politicians and astronauts, and they're kind of somewhat connected, but more just that it's a tapestry of the people that are affected by this.
The wonderful suburban families tapestry. Leo Biederman, who the kid played by Elijah Woods. He is the kid who the comet's actually named after him. It's called the Wolf Biederman. There were these two pieces.
He's the Jennifer Lawrence of this movie.
Yeah, exactly. And his family, and the family of his girlfriend, are kind of important characters, and they're affected hugely because one of the things that happens when they fail to blow the comet, off course, is that a policy is put into place that no one over 50 is going to be saved. So they're going to take young people only to this bunker. Oh, the other, the bunker. Okay. So the president decides, as the president also announces that for the past year, we've been building a bunker in the limestone hills of Missouri.
The last 25 years.
Large enough to house 1 million people for as long as 2 years.
Yes.
And they build it with all these things, to all the supplies that they would need and the seeds.
Which looks, I think it's the same place that where War Games takes place. The entrance to the War Games tunnels.
What I like the most about that is that they also did all that in total secrecy. No one knew that the biggest spaceship and the biggest space station and the biggest bunker ever built was being done.
But you know what? I that's, to me, that makes total sense. We wouldn't and we don't know until they unveil it. They're like, look at that. We're like, I didn't know you were building that. They were building it.
Yeah,
they were building it.
When people made a lot of money while they were doing that, they must have made a lot of money.
So, do you have a particular story? How did you get this gig? A typical audition? Did she work with you on ER or something?
No, I was on a hot streak at that time.
Because you were on a hot streak, fresh off of what show? Were you just doing?
I was doing Seinfeld at the time. I was testing for one series after another and signing a lot of contracts and getting a lot of movies.
Yeah, you were hard to get on the phone back then.
Can we get to some of the stuff that's upsetting me, though?
Oh no.
No. What is your like? Are you Greek, Italian? What is Urla?
It's Basque.
It's Basque. Okay. And yet here you are, so cultural appropriation, all of this stuff. You're seen with the short straw. You get the wrong straw, and your response is, well, that makes sense.
Yes.
What does that line mean? Why does it make sense? I know why it makes sense. And I think everybody in the audience knows why it makes sense. It's because you're the one Jew in the movie.
The one Jew of the movie? Well, you think that Bruce Rubin put that in for a reason? The writer?
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Let's just let the Jew die.
Let the Jew die.
That's actually one of my two favorite moments in the entire movie.
I think that it never made sense to me in the sense that they didn't actually bother to put in a backstory that would make sense, and it was only justified a little with the kids' playroom scene where you just go, this is a guy who's been a businessman who tried to be ambitious his whole life and blew it.
Nah, for me, the name alone, it all made sense. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Moskowitz, nobody ever knew my name was Moskowitz.
5,000 years you're getting crapped on. I get the short straw. The wave's going to take me out. It totally makes sense to me.
Totally hear you.
I have a couple other questions. How come Kevin Dunn is not in this movie?
Oh.
Yeah, he must.
Am I right?
No, you should. There's that stopped me cold because that is a completely true statement. Right. Why? Something terrible happened here.
Isn't he the guy who would say to the president, yeah, but Mr. President, you can't do blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, the numbers just don't show that we can do it. That kind of thing. The polling
will go off the maps if we do that.
I actually thought that the people around the president they were all just dry, cold, completely governmental, not assholes, but they were very, very severe. And I thought that was Kevin Dunn would have probably added a tone of comedy to that, and they didn't want that. Look at what Morgan Freeman did. I mean, God bless him. It was anticipating and sort of normalizing the idea of an African American president. That was a huge thing for them to do. To say, no, you're going to be. It was the first time we'd ever seen that. No film had ever done this before. So I thought it was an amazing choice, and Morgan Freeman hits a home run because he's so severe. He's so calm. He's probably the most calm actor I've ever seen in my life. And he sits in front of the camera and goes, "We're all gonna die." I can't do it. I can't do Morgan Freeman, but you know what I mean? He's amazing. He's amazingly.
Another thing I have to say is you, Joe Urla, got to work with Maximillian Schell.
who on this show we like to refer to as a Maximum Schell.
Maximum Schnell.
Can I tell that story?
And we also have to, yes, please. But first, Tony and I have to say one thing, which we have to say every time Maximillian Schell's name comes up, which is, you ready?
Yeah.
In through, and beyond. Sorry, that's our little homage to the black hole.
Sure.
We have to do it. Tell the Maximillian Schell story.
The one day we're shooting an office scene, and the producer, one of the producers, Richard Zanuck, big time producer, Paramount producer. Maybe was he DreamWorks? I don't know. But he was.
He produced Jaws. This guy. He was big.
Richard Zanuck comes onto the set very excitedly. Comes onto the set looking for Mimi Leader. Comes on the set and he sees Mimi. We got Maximillian Schell. We got Maximillian Schell to play the father. I need to talk to you right now. And Mimi goes, everybody take 15, right? And they go off into an office. And we're sitting there looking at each other going, "Ooh, they got Maximillian Schell. Wow, they got Maximillian Schell." Well, 15 minutes then became like an hour. The writer came in, Ruben came in, they all went into this room. The shoot of that particular scene was put on hold and put on the schedule for the next day in the morning. And we arrive the next day and there's 30 new pages of script. And they have taken the storyline that was Vanessa Redgrave, hers. She played the mother of Téa Leoni. They had taken basically her storyline and given it to Maximillian Schell.
Yeah, of course they would, because Vanessa Redgrave's just, some hack, right? She's just some slouch.
She's a slouch, and it's and she's like a Palestinian loving.
She wasn't in the black hole.
So they made the reconciliation an important moment at the end when the mother and the daughter were supposed to reconcile, while the wave comes and kills them. That was given to Maximillian Schell. And I thought, Scuttlebutt, we thought that the reason that they did that had nothing to do with anything other than foreign box office.
I would love to have been there when they told Vanessa, when she thought she was shooting for another 3 weeks. They're like, okay, we're doing the bedroom scene, and no dialogue. This is the scene where you put on some jewelry and you kill yourself because that's the end of your part. Sorry.
So so that day when we got the 30 pages, right, new pages, and we see that not only did they give that scene in front when the wave hits to Maximillian Schell, but now, it's awful. But now Vanessa Redgrave's character kills herself.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, so that wasn't in the original script, Tony. That was a change that happened more than halfway through the shooting of the movie. And Vanessa was on set that day when we got those 30 pages.
Oh no.
Coming up. So we're shooting this office scene, and suddenly Mimi has to leave the set because Vanessa is furious.
Do you think? You think? What, I mean, they didn't anticipate that?
Right. So I see it now. I watch the movie and I'm like, I see the rage in Vanessa's performance and every scene that followed that, that moment. Everything that they shot after that change was made, I look at her and I go, oh, she's
Oh, I would be pissed too. Wow,
Oh my
that's
God.
rough.
Phoning it in,
That is tough, man.
mad as hell, and she's not going to take it anymore.
And
But
then
they had
go ahead, Matthew.
they had
Sorry.
to get Maximillian Schell because he was in the other great tidal wave movie, Krakatoa East of Java, and then you got to put him in another great tidal wave movie.
Yeah, he's the most interesting man in the world, Maximillian Schell. He doesn't need Dos Equis. He's so cool looking, and he's got that weird accent.
Well, he is responsible for the biggest laugh that I've had all last year, this entire fiscal year.
Which one, Maximilian?
No, in this movie.
Oh,
In this movie, he has a final line that I had to stop the film. I was laughing so hard that I had to stop. Yeah.
What's his last line?
She said they're standing on the beach. Look, I'm gonna. I this is gonna drop on Instagram. I've got the clip. It's there. They have a moment on the beach where they come together and they're gonna, make amends, I guess, for the past. And she, in deference to being honest with each other and in this new space, she says to him, and they're waiting for the tidal wave to hit. They're standing on a beach. They're looking at the water receding, and they're about to die, and they know that. There's nowhere they can go. And she just says, when I was 13, I stole $30 from you.
Right.
Something like that. And he smiles, and he kind of looks at her, and he goes, when you were a baby, I once dropped you on your head.
That's hysterical.
And Amelia and I stopped the movie and we were laughing, I think for 10 minutes. It hit us really hard.
Yeah.
And there's something about the way he delivers it that is, it looks like he's about to crack up himself. It looks like he might start laughing. You worked with him. Was he full of jokes and fun on the set, or was he all business?
Well, I wouldn't say I worked.
You did. You worked with him more than anybody here.
I interacted with him in a very perfunctory way a couple times over at lunch. I never had a scene with him. His stuff was always with Téa Leoni and only with Téa Leoni.
He is the biggest star in his part of the world. He's Austrian, I think, is he not?
Something. I'm saying I think they went for the European market. I think.
He is huge. He fills concert. He filled concert halls as a pianist and as a recitalist and
Wow.
I mean, he played Beethoven to thousands of people in concert. He did a lot of crazy things because he was Maximum Schell.
Yeah.
Maximum Schell.
Maximum Schell.
So, there's a couple of things that we do every week on this show.
Yeah.
We want you to play along with us.
Right.
I do want to mention also my other favorite moment in the movie. One of them was you. Yeah, well, that makes sense. The other was Duvall reading Moby Dick to Ron Eldard.
I know.
That moment. He makes that work.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful moment.
I don't know if there are many actors who could have done that. You know what I mean?
But we do.
Can I say before we end the show? Can I say what?
We're not ending. I just have.
I thought you were moving on to closers because I have other things that I liked.
Yeah. Oh, let's go to things that you liked.
Well, I just want to celebrate the fact that Joe, in a major motion picture, Joe got to say the line. He got to say, "Son of a bitch." He actually got to say that in a close-up, and I think it was actually a track in.
Yes, that was a good one.
No.
So congratulations, you are deeply entrenched in a Hollywood trope that has that's got legs.
Can I tell you a little fun fact that no one will ever know? This movie,
until you tell us,
is the only movie in which the only two actors ever born in Pontiac, Michigan, appear together.
You,
Laura Innes, and I happen to both be born in Pontiac, Michigan, and we're both in Deep Impact. And look it up. There are no.
Don't be aggressive with me, sir. I'll look it up if I want to.
Actually, Donna McKechnie might have been born in.
Perhaps.
but she's not really a Pontiac person.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who had the problem with Jolt Cola? Because Jolt Cola is responsible for the everybody dying. The whole thing.
Oh, the truck driver.
The truck driver is drinking. The only overt product placement happens very early, and it's a negative product placement, which I don't understand. I guess Jolt doesn't have a lot of power or play, or they didn't, or something. But the driver's distracted because he's drinking Jolt Cola.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which I don't know if it still exists. If it doesn't, you kids out there who I know listen to this in the droves. It was a high caffeine sody pop.
Yeah.
I also noticed in this movie, it's interesting. We discovered that Russians don't have families or loved ones.
Of course not.
Because at the end, when all of the astronauts are saying goodbye to all their loved ones, Russians don't have loved ones.
No.
I want.
It's true. I've noticed this.
I want to add one little thing, if I could, which is a missed theme or a sort of very important. It has my favorite moment in the movie is actually the little pimple-faced kid in the high school auditorium who says
Great.
So you're going to get a lot more sex now. You're going to have more sex than any of us now that you're famous, right? Yeah. So there's the idea that fame leads to more sex. It's firmly stated by the movie. And the movie has a lot to do with sex. It's like the implication is that that Lily and Frodo are going to get up to the top of that mountain and they're going to have to recreate the human race. I mean, there's this, you know what I mean?
Well, they already have a baby, though. They've got one already, so they don't need to do that.
That line, that kid, an improv. That was not a scripted line.
Amazing. Is this true? Because it's so beautiful and it sticks out. It literally had us both.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a great moment.
There are a list of things. Sorry.
Interesting bit of trivia: the meeting in the kitchen between the president of the United States and the reporter, who he doesn't want to spill the beans. Do you know where that was shot?
Oh no, where?
In the kitchen at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, which is where RFK was shot.
Oh my God. Oh, that's creepy.
That is really creepy.
That's creepy.
I guess they get that place really cheap. Nobody wants to shoot there.
It's like, you can buy this house. Why is it so inexpensive? Oh, somebody was.
Oh, Charlie Manson lived there. It's nothing. No reason.
So you have other favorite moments?
Yeah, I have things I was going to mention. I thought while we're talking about things that were just not quite believable, on the top of my list would be the great Ron Eldard. I love him. Love Ron Eldard. But I don't believe anybody would jump up and down on top of a nuclear device, nor would they be able to in weightless space. So I have a problem with the whole physics of that.
That's crazy.
You know, they have a nuclear bomb on a drill that they're trying to drill down, so he decides to go down the hole and jump up and down on it, which he couldn't even do, even if it was a good idea.
It was desperate.
Yeah.
It was
Craziness. However, on the flip side of that sequence, just like as a sequence of them escaping the asteroid when all hell's breaking loose, pretty great job.
I think the movie was pretty not ahead of its time, but the
effects were pretty tight. Well, it was also a lot of practical effects and big sets and stuff they were incorporating, and
and one of the great traffic jams, a spectacular,
unbelievable traffic jam, and an incredible arrival of the comet. I thought it was really terrifying when that comet passed through the atmosphere.
And I also 1,800 cars in that traffic jam.
Oh, I love these little
on a highway extension that was still being built.
Wow.
In Virginia, so it was empty and they could use it.
Matthew, that's awesome. That's awesome bit of trivia. I love it.
Alternate title for the film: Best Years of Our Death, maybe.
Okay, that's a good alternate title. Tony and I do a thing every week. We do the double feature. that we would do with this movie. What movie would you do? What double feature would you do with this film, Joe?
What do you mean? Like Don't Look Up stole basically everything.
No, how would you like
if you wanted to
you
do
were
a
gonna
funny
hang out
or
and see a double bill, go to a double feature? What would you put with this movie as a double bill? Or would you just like hate that question so much you wouldn't want to even answer it?
My first, I'm gonna have to think a little bit about it because I wouldn't want. I mean, Deep Impact, as we've talked about it, it's a melodrama. It's so over the top emotional. Although it has incredible pleasures, I believe, it's still a heartstring. It's going for your heartstring. I would want something that's completely, the opposite of that, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like something that is completely the opposite, space travel, but silly.
okay.
An antidote to the emotion, a release of the emotion that you're asked to pull up to feel in Deep Impact. I'd want something that's funny.
Okay, Anthony.
For me, I think there's only literally one way to go here. I don't know that we're. I mean, why even go any further?
Why ask me first?
Than the black hole. I really think that the black hole is the perfect double bill here. It shares some interesting DNA, and it is that comedic antidote, but it's very deadly serious. It's in fact as serious.
I love it.
Okay, I had two different ways that I went. One way was picking up on the theme of let's tell one story but jump all over the place to many different people. Right, many different storylines in one movie. So one of the movies that I would pair it with would be Love Actually.
That's a good choice. Right? That's really good.
And then the other idea I had was maybe too easy. It's actually a triple feature with Deep Throat and Sudden Impact.
That's for the adults.
That's definitely a way to go as well.
Yeah, I would pair it with a movie that hasn't been produced yet, which is the movie that I wrote after doing this movie, which is called Deeply Impacted. That was the first.
Deeply Impacted. It was about somebody dealing wisdom teeth.
It was about a movie about a disaster movie that is deeply impacted by the arrival of another disaster movie at the same time. With bigger stars. I think the satire Deeply Impacted right after Deep Impact would be perfect.
Well, another thing Tony and I do in every show now is we each have to say, I have to say who I would play and I think he would play. or which not who we would play, but which character is me and which character is him. And he has to do the same thing. So I did make a decision about that.
Oh, great. I can't wait. I made a decision about it, too.
You did?
Yeah.
All right. What I have written down is that I am Charles Martin Smith, who just dies at the beginning of the movie.
He's so good, though, isn't he? Come on. I love him.
He is fantastic. I do, too.
I love Charles Martin Smith.
And you're John Favreau, who goes floating off into space.
You're a bastard. You're a dirty bastard.
He's
right. He's right.
I thought for a minute that I was Favreau. I was going to cast myself as that too.
So I wasn't.
I was wrong.
Who are you?
I'm actually Joe. I'm Joe's character, and you are Richard Schiff.
You're right. You are Joe's character, because it's Stavros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are Richard Schiff.
I'm Richard Schiff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It was cool to see Richard Schiff, relatively young. I mean, he had such a long career.
Yeah.
After that, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, to me, he's just always been on television. Like I've never not seen it turned on the TV and seen him. So I can't tell if this is in the middle of his career or earlier on. I don't know.
It's interesting seeing him relatively young, looking exactly the same as he does when he's not relatively young.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wait, are you so? Is this who you are now? Like, I mean, what version of yourself? Because
the
I would say
the real person,
The real,
the
like,
real
yeah,
person,
like just our
who we are in
inner
our soul.
who we are
our
in our
inner
soul.
zeitgeist. Who would we be?
Yeah, not the part we'd get cast in.
Right.
But who?
Who represents us.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
usually a short, very
I'm,
very
I'm
short part. You're
Leo.
the biggest. You're the biggest
Well,
role I've ever
I'm
gotten.
Leo. I'm Leo Peterman. It's that's what I completely connected with Leo Peterman's character uh, because he's a science geeky type kid,
Yeah.
like I was at the time, and he was like athletic. He's like an action hero at 14. I mean, that's the thing I think is most impressive about his performance is he pulls it off. He's kind of an action hero. That race to get the girlfriend, it's impressive. He rides that dirt bike, man. He's really
Well,
cool.
they cut to him arriving on a dirt bike. I wouldn't
I know.
say that he,
Well, okay.
actually.
I think it looks like it. It looks like it's him.
Look, I think this is I mean, maybe it's really super obvious, but I really think that this would be a slightly different conversation, but an obvious choice for one of these new Netflix series. This is the kind of thing that now they spread out over a multi-part show.
Absolutely.
They don't really make movies like this much anymore, like expensive dramas, because this is really more of a drama than a disaster movie. It's
I
not
totally agree.
really a disaster movie until the very end of the film. The most of the movie is just personal interaction and
Yeah.
grief, and it feels like a long show that you get to know these multiple characters on. And I think there's you could look at it and be like, I think I thought it was a lot schmaltzier when it came out than I do now.
That's what I felt. Yeah.
And now I think what I see is like this director elevating the intentions of the studio and the craziness of all of it to a pretty solid place of of the kind of drama you'd see on a good TV show. Even back then, like you can just see her going back to her roots of how she just knew how to make scenes work with people. And there's not like there's some writing that's not great. There's some things that happen that they could have written better. But I feel like everything is really handled well with this in the scenes with the actors. It feels like, watchable, realistic. Téa Leoni's really great to watch. I don't know if she's that like I don't know what she's doing. It just seems so natural. So I don't know, was she like a seasoned actor at that point?
No, it was a very risky thing to give Téa Leoni the lead in this.
That's what I thought.
A big budget movie like that.
And it really paid off, I thought.
Yeah, I think Téa Leoni, they also hamstrung her. I thought the writing hamstrung her a little bit because she needed to grow more. But if she had grown into the role of just young, ambitious, deer in the headlights reporter who gets thrust into the spotlight and is now the person all of America is looking to for the information about what's going to happen to all of them. She remained deer in the headlights the whole time because her storyline needed to be resolved. She still had an emotional journey that had to be resolved with her mother or her father in order for her growth to occur. So she didn't approach it the way like a Charlize Theron would have perhaps done that part. Where Charlize Theron would have been the ambitious reporter, and then she's put in front of the camera, and she'd have gone, boom, and clicked into now I'm where I'm supposed to be. But because she was supposed to be unformed as a human being, she remained sort of vulnerable and sort of not very good at her job, and that was intentional.
I thought that was a great choice. I really did. I mean, I thought that she gets the job in the first place. I mean, not being nefarious, but she angles to kind of get this bigger position to do it, and actually confronts the president and starts bargaining with the president. So she's got a lot of chutzpah. It would have been too much if she was also excellent at it.
I completely agree. I think you could make it's a great argument that sort of not slick part of her is huge and important.
But the thing is, it captures what. But they also do a smart thing. One of the smart things the movie really does do in the writing is to turn around and go, "You're coming with you. You're important now. You're coming with us." It's not because she's a smart newscaster.
Yeah.
It's because people see her vulnerability and her realism.
Yeah.
And they see themselves in her, and that's why they need her to go at the end. So it's actually really smart. I think, and that's what's funny is that there's like really smart things about the script. Or like the pink pages, probably. And then there's really stupid things about the blue pages, which who knows who wrote them, when they came in, what was going on.
It was so panicked. There was so much anxiety during the shoot.
But then you do see in her the roots of how she becomes Secretary of State and then President.
Completely same character. I believe that arc.
Yeah. Sorry, different show.
He was a really nice person. I would also say that, and I think it's important to note that whenever you experience it with people who become stars.
She was super nice to me when I worked with her. I met her. I was working on the same movie. We didn't work together, but we just ran into each other at the Crafty, and she was really nice.
There was nothing, no pretenses, she was generous and kind and
really like friendly and just
She let you have that last little tube of Whoppers.
I got nothing bad to say about Téa Leoni. I think she's adorable.
So, are we recasting this movie as well?
Oh yeah, we should recast it. I didn't. There's such a huge cast. I wasn't able to.
You got to pick your battles here, but I got a good portion of it.
I got a little bit done.
I got 8. I got 8 recasts here.
You got 8 recasts?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I only got 3.
No, 6. I'm sorry, 6.
I only got 3 recasts.
All right. Who's your recast?
Robert Duvall is played by Tommy Lee Jones.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Téa Leoni, Emma Stone.
Okay. Oh, I see that. Right. Yeah.
And Charles Martin Smith, Johnny Galecki. From Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, okay. That's what you got.
That's all I got.
That's disappointing. I feel you could have spent more time on it.
Oh, really?
Okay. The choices were good. Just there weren't that many of them. I mean, there were a lot of people here.
I got to do more. All right.
For my Téa Leoni, I picked Ana de Armas.
Okay.
And in keeping with that, I thought that Andy Garcia would be a very good Maximillian Schell. And I thought that it would be really interesting and kind of an interesting choice for somebody like Denzel to take the Duvall part. He has never really taken a small but powerful supporting role before. But in something this expansive, I think Denzel could do that as the older astronaut.
That would be spectacular. Yep.
I think the president is guaranteed Keanu Reeves. And Elijah Wood would have to turn into Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, I think. And she's in love here. They are in love with with another person who made, it's either another girl or they're both in transition or something about that would be in play here, definitely. So,
okay, I'll buy all of them.
And then Ron Eldard would now be Dev Patel.
Okay.
Don't look at me like that. Either of you ever look at me like that again.
I'm just trying to understand. This is driven by fan feedback. They've said to you, we want you to do the recast.
No, Joe, this is an entertaining, fun game that we play on the show. Because it's funny.
Yeah, but I
didn't know it
was coming, and I can't participate.
We like you to laugh at our joke. We wanted somebody to laugh at what we say.
Joe, we love the idea that you think there's fan feedback on this show. Are you expecting fan feedback after the show?
No. My phone is not ringing, but it's going to.
Joe, were you responsible for the choice for them to fly up through the tail of the comet with all the debris and asteroids flying at them, or was that not your idea?
Thank you for bringing that up, because I had, in my thinking about it, I was like, I wanted to remind or just say that's an incredibly implausible event in the movie.
It really felt like they should have just flown ahead of it and yeah.
around it, but no, they
Potentially.
drive. Then and somehow this was it was an attempt to legitimize the myth of Robert Duvall's character as capable of doing something that none of them were capable of doing, right?
Mm.
So he had to be able to fly through this thing that's traveling 100,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dodge the boulders.
No, it's crazy.
To land on a comet, which I don't know if you remember, Tony, that once he got through the tail of that comet was no longer moving. The shot where the spaceship lands on the comet, the comet is static. It's not.
Okay,
but isn't that what it would be like, though?
But I have to explain a couple of things about science
and gravity. It does not have gravity.
Whoa. Too many smart people talking at once.
Comet that small, a piece of rock that small, has no gravity, almost none at all, zero gravity. So you can't land on it and walk around on it. You can only try to reach a matching speed with it at 100,000 miles an hour, and then sort of like send something out.
I know, but Joe, Ron Eldar jumped on a nuclear device.
They tether to that. That made a certain amount of sense. They tether to it. But so here's the science question I want to ask you. You say not possible for them to land on something moving 100,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I take issue with that because spacecraft do land on something traveling 100,000 miles an hour all the time. Every time a space shuttle comes and lands back on the planet, how fast is the Earth?
Comets are the fastest moving things in the universe. They literally are racing through the universe at speeds that are unheard of. I mean, I don't want to get into an argument about it, but
okay.
That's
but
the
if you could,
the one thing that scientists looking at Deep Impact said was, I really don't think that's possible.
But the only reason it's not possible is not because the comet's moving so fast, but because they can't get the spaceship moving as fast as it. Because if you could get the ship moving as fast as it, then by relativity, they're both going 0 miles an hour.
There's no the whole thing of the drilling, all that's completely false.
Hey, listen, listen. We can argue about the science, but at the end of the day, Ron Eldard's last line is stolen from E.T. And I feel that was a cheat, and I don't know why there wasn't a lawsuit.
What was his last line?
Be good. And they're making an E.T. reference, I know. He's like, he's a person, but now he's an alien, and he's talking to his kid, be good. Anyway.
Spielberg was the producer for this movie.
Sure. Right.
International.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. It was an E.T. reference on purpose, so I got that. I also do want to say, just shout out, did anybody notice the marquee in the movie theater in Times Square?
No.
Fire in the Sky was the movie playing. That was always a nice little touch. Moving right along with other scintillating bits of news and tidbits of information.
All right. I think we've done Deep Impact.
Amazing.
I think we've done it. Next week, I have some earth-shaking news about what the movie is for next week.
Earthquake.
Yes, there you go. Very good.
Hey, what do you know? Yes, in case you didn't guess, we're doing all disaster movies this month.
Yes. Next week, Earthquake. The following week, The Core.
Which is both a disaster movie and a disaster movie.
Of a movie.
Wow.
So please join us next week. Like us. Really like us. You know, all of that stuff. Tell your friends. And Joe, it has been great having you here.
just honored and thrilled. Thank you so much.
Thanks
I
for
haven't
being
had
here.
this much fun with you since we had that incredible aguachile at that Mexican restaurant a few months ago.
Where the wind was blowing so hard.
Yeah. Before we sign off, Joe, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you're working on? Anything you want to announce? Or even just if you want to tell anybody to F off, you can do that now.
Yeah.
I just right now I would like Novak Djokovic to just say goodbye to the world of tennis. That's all.
Well, I heard the greatest pun ever. Well, one of the greatest puns ever this past week. That Novak Djokovic may be the best tennis player, but Australia had the best return of Serb. Anyway.
Works for me.
So stick around after we sign off. We do, we have drinks in the green room after we sign off, so you don't have to go away.
Awesome.
I'm sure he can't wait.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. And we'll see you next week.
So much.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.